I'll go ahead and read it.
That's fine.
The CVB's mission is to position Nacogdoches as a historic destination by attracting overnight visitors and positively affecting the city's economy. Okay.
Still hadn't come up. Thank you.
No, you're good.
Minutes is next on the agenda. Approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Larry has moved to approve. Second. Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
So moved, okay. Is Cheryl not here today?
Well, she was supposed to be, so I'm assuming she's running late. We can go ahead and move down the agenda to nominations and see if Cheryl comes in.
Okay, and what does that involve? Can Shay talk about that?
Shay, do you mind talking about the nominations?
Sure, of course. So, we are a little behind in the nomination process. We, our bylaws state that we need to have a nominating committee appointed by the chair. And I've appointed Alex Rance and John McLaren to be on the nominating committee along with myself. And we will meet either virtually or together shortly to nominate a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. So we'll have that by the time, I think our bylaws state that we need to have that by the August meeting. So
Yes.
that will be the plan, to have those officers in place by then. And that's what I got about that.
And I don't think we need any action on that since, right, because you just appoint.
Right, no, it's just a chair appointed
Okay.
committee.
Okay, then moving on, next on the agenda, Shay, can you also talk about the executive director search update?
I can. Wanda and Larry, Wanda Mouton and Larry King are serving with me on the executive director search. It's been open since the June 30th. We have about 40 applicants. We are using a screening matrix right now to work through the applicants to see who is qualified for an interview. And Larry and Wanda and I will meet and compare our screening matrix, which is taken directly from the job posting. And then we'll be contacting those folks who are going to we'll be interviewing, as soon as we get our matrices filled out. So that's where we stand on that. It's a little slower than maybe I'd like it to be, but we're moving forward.
Any questions?
Any questions about that?
Do y'all have a timeline still? Are you still saying by October?
I would really hope so. If we can get our work done, in August, and it'd be great to have someone by September, October at the latest, I would hope.
Okay.
Shay, do you know how many candidates you would interview, or does it just depend on how many are worthy of interviewing?
I think it's going to depend on how many qualified candidates we have out of our pool, and the matrix is weighted, so the candidates are scored based on qualifications that were in the job posting. And so usually in things like this, there's a natural break.
Okay.
So we'll just have to see what that looks like. But I'm anticipating a natural break that will kind of give us a clarity on how many we need to interview.
Cool.
We don't have a set number though.
Cool.
Any other questions?
No, just a comment, 40 applicants is great, but that's also a lot.
Well, and you have to understand that, I'm sorry, it's raining here. I'm trying to move from the weather. You have to understand that there's quite a few that maybe aren't qualified, that don't meet the educational requirement or have any kind of experience. So we're sort of weeding through those right now, but we have to look at every single application to make sure that we're not overlooking someone.
I emphasize what she just said.
Where are you that it's raining?
She's in Colorado.
Okay, send some here.
Sorry.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
I don't think there is.
We're good. Thank you, Shay.
Thanks, Shay.
Okay, super.
Do you want to have Cheryl? Okay.
Are you ready, Cheryl?
Yes, sorry.
You're fine.
I was upstairs visiting with Pam. Okay. Cheryl, you ready? Okay. All right. 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 All right.
They do.
Michael Donnell said that if we don't talk in the microphone, that she can't hear us.
I was supposed to remind you as well, so I'm glad you got
He
that.
yelled at me on the way down. Y'all should have your financials. We're in really good shape right now. Our hot tax is way above normal for this time of year, which is a good problem to have. I guess, I mean, can I answer any specific questions? Because I mean, everything else is pretty self-explanatory. We're ahead on income and behind on expenses, and that's okay, so.
Why do you think the hot tax is above normal? Is it occupancy rate or?
I don't know. I can tell you one thing, one factor is the Fredonia's, the Fredonia has a max in their contract, that's forgiven because of the grant that the, city gave them when they built. And it's for 10 years, which means it won't be over until 2026. But once they hit that, then that goes away. But their max is $150,000 a year, and we have been getting checks from the Fredonia. The city has been getting checks from the Fredonia for the last 2 months. And last year, that really didn't start until basically June and July, and we've been getting them since, well, for the months of May and June. We weren't getting checks until close to the end of the so what I'm saying is they're hitting the 150,000 earlier in the year than they have been. That's one, but I would say it's, I mean, Ashley, do you have any ideas that
I mean,
occupancy?
Yeah, everything that we're seeing trend-wise is that people are getting more and more comfortable with traveling again. Day trips are really popular right now, or sorry, not day trips, weekend trips. So, like, just from the reports that we get from TACVB and things like that, just everyone's feeling really motivated to get out there, and they're all saying that Instagram is the driver of that right now. And so I think Nacogdoches has a really good presence on Instagram, so I would think some of it is attributed to that. But yeah, it follows the same trends as the rest of the country.
I'd also say that Motel 6 opening finally probably helped. I mean, I don't know if anybody's staying there yet, but it says it's open.
Well, and the previous, isn't that where it used to be at OYO? And
Yeah.
now
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
I was just talking to Pam, and that actually came up. The OYO was not paying their hot tax.
No,
and
they
when
weren't.
the new owner purchased it, he said that was one of the conditions of the purchase is that they had to pay their back taxes. So
Wow.
they got a year's worth when they did
that's
that.
pretty
So that's part.
Yeah,
Some of these late payments are part of that.
I figured
but
that was part
that's
of
a
it.
chunk. I don't know without going back and looking exactly how much that was, but
Yeah, yesterday at the board meeting, or the council meeting, they said, I think it was up 25% than normal, right? Is that about right?
that's about right.
That's, yeah, okay, cool. I
Well,
made a note of that,
yes.
yeah.
And are we doing budget too?
Yes.
Okay, well, let me just speak to that just for a minute. When Sherry, way back last spring, asked Pam for numbers to put in for our new budget, Pam just gave her the same number from last year. And I can't tell you why or what the rationale is that they think things may, they were predicting the economy might go down because they were doing that with sales tax. They were, cutting that back and all that. So we've got the same number we had last year, even though we've already received more, and probably by the end, our fiscal year ends in September, we will exceed that budget. I feel like we will. So we can make a decision to change that number in our budget, but we also have some issues. Right now, our payroll is set at the exact same as it was last year, and we all know that it's not. Joanna's salary is not the same as Shelby's, and Ashley is getting a stipend, but obviously not all of Sherry's salary. So we are gonna, and we don't know when the new one will start, new director will start, or what the salary will be for that. So we've got a lot of unknowns in the employee category. So it might be better just to say, let's go with it for now, and say in October or November when we know more, or December, whatever, we can make some modifications and do a whole new budget, or at least do some serious revising. I don't know what else to tell you because there's an awful lot of unknowns in this. So on both counts, does anybody have questions?
Would that require anything that we need to?
I mean, we do need to approve a budget
A budget.
very
We have-
soon, I think today possibly.
yes.
Okay.
But we can approve it with the notion that it's going to be amended, like 100%, because, like what Cheryl just said, there's so many unknowns in the air. We have no idea if we're going to, you know, balance out at the end or how that's gonna look.
So that should be part of the motion.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we approve the budget with expectation of amendment or,
Yeah.
or with a
Yeah.
decision to
I mean, if
amend.
I'm hiring a new director, they may have a different direction for
Yeah.
some of this too. We don't know if a new director wants to spend a whole lot more in one area and less in another. This was set with Sherry's visions, and we may have somebody with a different vision. So we just got a lot of unknowns here. But I would say the motion needs to be approved, this budget as presented, with knowing that we will most likely make amendments before the end of the year.
Would someone like to make a motion to?
Well, let's see if there's anybody else has questions first.
Any questions on the financial statement or the budget, either one? I'll try to.
Anyone else? No? Okay.
A
Yeah.
motion?
Okay, I move to approve the budget as presented with the notion that this will most likely be amended with the incoming director. Yeah,
I'll make it sound pretty.
okay,
I
thanks.
second, I'll second it. Tammy, I'll second
Alex
it.
has made the motion and
Tammy, second.
Tammy, yeah, I got you. Tammy has made the second. I didn't know you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That carries, let's see, are we permitting discussion?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give a quick little background and then Shelby's gonna talk about it. Just real quick, Shelby, can you hear us and are you able to contribute?
Yes,
Okay, great.
to both.
Okay, so most of you know, and then Taylor, you might not know because you're so new, but in March of 2021, when events started coming back, the CVB board and I believe City Council directed the CVB staff to not only host events but also permit events. And the idea was if we were in charge of permitting the events, then we would be more privy to the knowledge of these events happening, and we would be involved in the planning process and so on and so forth. From what I've seen, and I've watched this from March of 2021 to now, when Joanna first took it on, and then Sherry took it on, primarily what we're working with is birthday parties in Festival Park. It's kind of a broken system. You know, we have spent hours and hours and hours trying to get the process nailed down to the liking of all of the city departments. And what happens is people apply for a park permit at Parks and Recreation, but then they also have to fill out a special event permit with us. And, you know, when we first talked about doing this, we were thinking it was going to be events that could be related to tourism, Dia de los Muertos, a few others like that, Freedom Fest, things like that. Those are a very small percentage of what we're actually doing, and like I said, we're getting bogged down with birthday parties and other non-tourism related events. So I asked Shelby to start keeping track of her staff time on this because it is my personal feeling that she is not using her time in the best way, and that's not a knock on her. It's the assignment that she's been given since Sherry left. And so I would like Shelby to talk about that. And we don't have to make a decision today or anything, but I felt that the board should know how we're doing that, and I would love to hear your thoughts and get your opinions. So Shelby, will you tell them about your permitting task?
Yeah, so I took over before Sherry left, so like May 29th is my guesstimate. And from that date to now, I have solely conducted 9 permits start to finish. So getting the permit, putting it in our weekly task sheet that the permits are filled out in that every city department can see, or departments on the board or committee can see. With those 9 that I have done, only one of them has been tourism related, which was Freedom Fest. But altogether, as of Monday, there are 22 permits that are opened that since May 29th to that day. Some of them go through December. So like we have like the Jingle Bell Run, the Nine Flags Parade and all those. But there are 22 from that. And then there's only 8 of them related to tourism, which is only 36% of the permits that I have are related to tourism. So I'm working like 8 to 15 hours a week. It just kind of depends. Like this week on Monday, I had 2 permits being turned in that I had to do. I've emailed people with all of that. There's just a lot of little things that go into it.
So, just to add on to that, Shelby's in charge of arranging the meetings with the city departments. So she has to coordinate Public Works, Police, Fire, Parks, and I'm sure I'm missing 1 or 2. She has to get them all in a room together, and she has to lead them to create or come up with their decision on how these events will be run. And then she has to communicate that information to the event hosts, which often includes bad news about having to move their event to a different place, having to add additional security, and so on and so forth. And my personal issue with that is Shelby doesn't really have that kind of authority. Her position is Group Sales and Services Coordinator, so when people hear that, they're not thinking, wow, this person really, should be telling me what to do. So I think that there needs to be a level of respect and a level of a higher position possibly doing this. And just in my opinion, it's not tourism related. Does anybody have any questions for me or Shelby?
Who was handling this before?
So it's been
Earlier.
passed along. When I first started working for the city in 2017, it was under Main Street. Amy Mahaffey was doing the permits. I think it's been moved around a little bit more since then. I want to say it maybe took a little break over in the Parks Department. And so I think when we took it on, it was a response to COVID or to post-COVID, trying to open everything up, and we were excited to get involved and everything, but it just has not ended up being what we were originally led to believe it would be. We thought it would be special events only, and we're getting all of the events.
Yeah, I have a question, and this may be ignorance on my part, but is there a possibility that those could be split by the type of event?
Yeah, I was just
So
about
like
to
for
say.
profit events versus obviously a birthday party you're not making money on that.
Yeah.
Could that be a different department?
We would be okay with that but that's the thing is we would have to come up with something with the city or whoever, like who would be in charge of the other ones, and how do we determine what's tourism related and what's not? It really comes down to subjection. Like we feel we know what's tourism related and what's not, but others might not agree.
But you guys are the experts on tourism, so you should dictate what you approve or not approve when it comes to tourism stuff. And I don't think that that's a great use of Shelby's time. I mean, if it's tourism related, great. But if not, you shouldn't be over here approving birthday parties
And
for
I think
locals.
anything
I'm sorry.
revenue generating
Yeah.
would probably fall under tourism.
I agree.
Do most of these events involve the park?
Yes, most of them involve Festival Park. Right, Shelby? Would you agree?
Yes.
So it
that's a-
seems to me
Who I got
that-
on Monday were for Liberty Hall.
Seems to me that parks would be the department that would handle if it's an event in the park.
If it's just sequestered to just the park.
Yeah.
Like a birthday party. But if it spills into Main Street, spills all throughout downtown, yeah, that's a bigger discussion. And if it's something that's marketed to not just local area in residents, but also outside, I mean, yeah, then you guys can come in, but.
Yeah. For
But
instance,
could it easily be split? That's what worries me.
I don't know. I
would
don't know.
Shelby spending that much time with these group sessions and then somebody else also taking time.
yeah.
I feel like that's gonna be.
I don't know how that looks, and this is just the beginning of the discussion. Really, I just wanted to get y'all's opinions because we need to be able to have ground to stand on when we present it to whoever. I'm not even sure how we do that just yet. I do know that Shay has been talking to our interim city manager, and he's aware that this is how we feel, and so we just have to come up with a plan moving forward. But just hearing your thoughts is helpful, because if y'all were thinking that, no, you should be doing it, then we wouldn't proceed, but,
Shay, what did the interim city manager say to you?
We had talked about a structure that is similar to what you all are proposing, where the tourism, the big things like Freedom Fest or Wine Swirl, those things are permitted through, or the Nine Flags Festival are permitted through the CBB, and then the other things would not be. But we've not come up with who that person would be. I suggested maybe Tory in Main Street, but that may not be the appropriate place. We've not been able to come to a agreement, but I fully agree that we don't need to be doing that type of work, because that's outside of our mission and our scope.
One way to divide it would be based on location. And another way would be based on number of people.
I was gonna say size of event.
Size
Yeah.
of event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like if we're gonna host a 5K and it's, broadcasted to all of Texas, cool.
yeah.
But if it's,
So my
local
only
birthday party,
potential issue with dividing it is what Wanda said about, there's some people having these meetings and then we'd be having a different meeting. There's already so much confusion about the permit department. The general public doesn't understand why it's under us, or they don't even really know who we are. Because, like I said, they apply for their park permit online with the Parks Department, and then they go over to visitnacogdoches.org, a whole separate website, and apply for their festival and event permit. And it's kind of like, who's on first? Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of back and forth of us getting calls from the rec department and us sending calls over to them when it regards Festival Park or Liberty Hall. So there's just already so much confusion that I'm not sure that dividing it would be helpful. I don't know for sure. Like, we would have to sit down and look at it.
I was gonna say, obviously this needs to be a bigger discussion, and the whole process needs to be.
The system is broken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it needs to be revamped, because that seems extremely convoluted and confusing for anyone. That
see-
confused me. Like, so,
From the public perspective, somebody applying, in reality, there could be a filter after that application is put in place.
Yeah.
So there could be one application, and then after that application is taken in, there could be a vetting of,
Yeah.
who does this go to?
Yeah,
Does
I
it
could
just
see
go to
that.
parks? Does it go to the CBB?
Have,
And that way, from the public facing, there's not that confusion.
Right.
then, yeah, just figure out whose job it is to sit there and filter through all the applications. I mean, I get what you're saying, Ashley. I mean, like, yeah, adding more doesn't always help. Sometimes it makes it worse.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, if it's Main Street, that their scope probably is only Main Street related, and this is park all over, right?
Well, the thing about Main Street events is that they usually do involve tourism. Like, those are
Oh,
the
yeah.
ones that we
Yes.
actually
All of
are
them.
like, yeah, we
Exactly.
would love to be involved with Wine Swirl, 100%.
But if it's a park that's not down
Exactly.
Main Street, then
Yeah.
it almost sounds
These-
like it.
I'm sorry, but
I'm
we
not
are,
gonna suggest
we
it,
are
I'm just saying
currently-
that sounds
yeah,
like-
no, we are currently permitting 2 backpack drives for back to school, and I don't see how an ounce of that
Because
is
that's
related.
that's a local. Like, that's not bringing
100%.
people from Dallas to Nacogdoches. So that really should not even come across to your desk or Shelby's desk or anybody's desk.
They're really good backpacks.
I mean, and if it's a, I don't know, maybe someone from Dallas would want to do that.
well, and Ashley, you said that you were in hopes of you would find out what's going on in the city if you took this on. Have you found you're finding out what's going in the city, or is it still a struggle?
I would say the information that we've gathered has not been worth the heartache. I mean, I feel like I sound dramatic saying that, but, that was at a time where we had no idea what was going to happen with COVID and things like that. And so we were just looking for any way to be in, and it seemed like a good match at the time. Now we're at a point where, I am scouring events. Y'all have seen like my What's Happenings and things like that. And Taylor and Alex know I send out emails all the time, like, what's going on? Tell me what you're doing. I feel like I'm at a point where I get my information just fine. I don't need it from these permit committees.
No.
Well, and I know when, like when the we were planning the plant sale and I called you guys to see what was on the city calendar. I learned there's no city calendar.
No.
So, but you knew about our
Yeah.
plant sale real early.
Ashley has a
And then
great
I
calendar.
noticed on Facebook a marathon being planned that same day. So I
Yeah.
called Ashley. He's
Well,
like, when
and-
you see that permit, let me know. I mean,
Yeah.
because I want to make sure they're not going to run down Reggae. So I could see how that would be.
We would
I
love
don't
to
know if
still
that's
be
y'all's
included on the
thing.
process where there's the database of events
Yeah.
happening, because that is so needed in Nacogdoches. Like, we all remember April 1st, 2020.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that was
Yeah.
infamy.
Like we would
Yeah.
love to be able to answer those questions, because we do. We get a
Yeah.
lot of questions about when events are happening, and that is the only benefit that I see. But we don't need to be handling the permits to get that information. We can just be privy. It's an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet that has online access. We can look at that anytime we want if whoever's in charge of it allows us to. But we don't need to be in charge of that to get that information.
Agree.
Wording is another issue.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
probably needs to be resolved also.
I agree, and we're working on that. It's like you have to cast a giant net and try to catch them all. I try so hard to get everyone to submit their events on visitnacogdoches.org, but again, local people are like, why would I submit my event on Visit Nacogdoches? There's a disconnect, and then the chamber's also trying, and the city is also trying. We're all trying. It's just there's maybe too many cooks in the kitchen. I'm not sure the best way forward, but I agree that process needs to be streamlined.
Bottom line, we're short-staffed enough.
Everybody
and
is.
We need to use the full talents of Shelby where she's gonna be best.
Yeah.
This is not.
Group
Exactly.
sales and
Yeah.
her actual position.
Yeah.
So I think
So,
you feel what we're putting down here.
I think I got your
I
comments.
think we got
and-
the
no
gist.
action required, then we
No,
just.
ma'am.
No, it's just discussion.
Just
Right.
discussion.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
We're behind you.
Thank y'all.
Staff report, so that would begin with you again, Ashley.
Okay, I'll come up there for my report. Okay, so just what we've been working on the past month. I've got the job position on TACVB, which is Texas Association of Convention and Visitors Bureaus, a long name, and then Texas Travel Alliance, and it directly links to the city's HR portal where they can apply. So I'm actually not seeing if the applications. 40 was news to me. I was like, wow, okay. We do have a few people drop off their resumes, but most of them are not. They don't have tourism related experience. So I'll still pass them along, but I imagine they won't make it through the funnel. So I have a small update about short-term rentals. We have been doing research and talking to Rentalscape, the online database that we hired, and for your information, Taylor, we took on this, or we paid for this system last year that allows us to identify short-term rentals in the area. And the proposal stated that there were several short-term rentals in the area that may or may not be remitting their occupancy tax, and it would help us go after them because that money is owed to us. And so this past year, there hasn't been much movement on that, just kind of at a stalemate with the city. We've gone back and forth on who's supposed to write those letters, who's supposed to send them out, who's the authority. And I think we've all come to the conclusion that the city is the taxing authority and that the letters need to be sent out. But we had to get the finance department on board with us in order to do that, because at the end of the day, they're not going to be paying us, they're going to be paying the city finance department. And so we've been doing research to ask other CVBs what they do, and the conclusion is that everyone is kind of feeling their way through this. This is a sort of a new thing. Short-term rentals are not new, but getting them to remit their taxes is sort of new. So we spoke with Rentalscape yesterday, Cheryl and I did, and they actually provided us some template letters that we can send out. And then we are planning to, like this month, insert our information in those letters and make sure it's tailored. I believe our next step is getting the city to allow us to use their letterhead on these letters so that it's more serious, but we will be the point of contact with these people to explain why they're getting these letters, what's the next step. What we have not figured out yet is what is the penalization if they don't remit. We're just not familiar with that. That is something that I'm not even sure the city does for people that don't remit. You know, they, the way Cheryl explained it to me is they go through all of the short-term rentals that they are aware of at the very end of the year. So like any rentals, that came in this year, they aren't even aware of yet. And so that, I might have said that wrong, Cheryl, correct me.
Well, and I just found out.
Come in here.
I just talked to Pam, and there is no teeth in this. City Council several years ago had fined people, and then they came back and said, we've levied all these fines, they're not paying them, what do we do? And City Council came back and rejected it. They had to refund the ones who had paid their fines, and so they have been for many years. There's no teeth in it.
Is there any fine for hotels that don't pay?
For nobody.
Okay.
Now, she said most of the hotels, I don't know, I think they are assessing fines. I don't know that they're actually getting them. She told me about the one hotel that I mentioned before, when they sold it, there
Yeah.
was some paid at that point. But most of these, they are not fined. And some people are paying the state portion and not paying the city portion,
Well,
and they know that.
I looked on Airbnb and also Vrbo, and their guidelines are, they collect the state taxes. They do collect local taxes for some cities in Texas, larger cities, and Nacogdoches is not on that list. But their direction to the owners is that they are to collect the local taxes, and it's their responsibility to know what their local taxes are. But they also have been noticed that the owners should notify or register with the local city. And I'm not sure that we have a system here in Nacogdoches for them to even register.
Oh, yes, they do. They have a system to register, but you would have to call and make the effort. What Rentalscape told us yesterday is
But
they
they're not-
suggest these letters go out with a clip off of the website reports that they have that shows and say, we believe that you have a short-term rental.
It's a screenshot.
It's a screenshot of their listing.
But
With
they're
their
not,
pictures.
they're not required to register with the city. Is this
Well,
correct?
They are required, but there's no teeth.
there's no
in the-
penalty.
There's no penalty
Yeah.
for not registering.
So yeah,
it's-
so
it's-
why register then? Yeah,
I mean, some of them are doing
Yeah.
the right thing,
of course,
and some
because
of them
they're
aren't.
upstanding people,
Right.
but, yeah, no.
Majority or just a few?
Well, what they,
That's what we're trying to figure
what
out.
they suggested to us was if you put the letter and then you put this paper behind it, there is no hiding. And he said they have had this experience in other cities where when you do this, people kind of wake up and say, oh, they know I have something. You're not,
Yeah,
you're
but still
not a-
beyond that, there's still no penalty for them
No.
signing up, yeah, or
No,
not signing
there's
up.
not, but I'm
Yeah.
not sure how many people know that.
That's true. I mean, it might scare them and be like, oh, that,
Yeah.
but
Well,
no guarantee.
one other point is that in with the last city council, this issue was discussed. And there was direction given at a council meeting that this be taken care of and that the letters be sent out. They were still not sent out. So, at some
I got
point,
the finance department is very, very shorthanded, and they do not have the ability to do the research to get the addresses, property owners, and correlate
don't
that.
you have that in
We do now.
Rentalscape?
We do now. But it's gonna take some work. It's gonna take dumping spreadsheets.
Rentalscape at the time.
They have it, you're right, and they have access to it, but they don't have the personnel to do it. That's what I've been told. So we are going to do that part and go to them with get an approval for the letter, and, we now have a way to do that. And we've got a template for the letter to do. We're just gonna set it all up and say, this is what we wanna send out, get it approved.
We're planning to send it to everyone and kind of start fresh with what Shay was talking about providing education on what it is we do and what their taxes are paying for. That way it's a clean slate for everyone, and let everyone know we're aware of you, and we're not going to say we're coming to get you or anything like that, but our hope is that the Sally Do Goods will come up and pay their taxes, and then maybe further down the line when there is some teeth in the game, I don't know how that will appear, maybe through city council, but then we can maybe go after the people that aren't remitting. But as of right now,
And what's the timeline?
well, the letters we can have done by the next board meeting, if not sooner. We can. I would go out to say we could even probably send them out by then, unless y'all want me to get the letter approved by you first. But they're templates, and I'm just going to fill in the blank. So
City management is probably gonna have to sign it and go on city letterhead in order to, we will, like she said, we will be the point of contact.
we're planning to break everything down into bite-sized pieces so that the majority of the work is on our end, and then we just get the city to fill in where they have to.
Well, do we have a target date for then when we would start expecting collections or remittance of those
We could say
taxes?
the new fiscal year.
Well, we just say, part of the letter says, this is your responsibility. And basically, it has been since the day you
Yeah.
opened business. You were supposed to be paying 7% to the state and 6%
Well,
whatever we are.
when they signed up, as I said, on Verbo or Airbnb, it is very clear on those websites what their responsibility is. And their responsibility is to collect the taxes, to know what the taxes are, and to collect those taxes,
But I think they still think that they are hidden.
and remit those taxes.
Yeah. I think that, they don't know that's a software out there that is pulling that information from VRBO and Airbnb and telling us that they're there. Like, they can kind of hide behind the veil, and it can be a sort of, I wouldn't say malicious, but they're like, I don't have to worry about that. But as soon as they know that we can see them, then maybe they'll be like, maybe I do need to worry about
Well,
that.
if they have to register with the city, then they're not hidden.
I don't think all of them.
They
are
only
registered.
have 24 people
And
registered. I have a
Rentalscape
list.
has identified how many? 75?
Well, that's what we just literally found out this yesterday. on
And
the
that
Zoom
may be
meeting.
something that needs to be part of education, is to educate them that they have to register
Yeah.
Yes.
with the city.
Absolutely.
That is part of the steps.
That's the letter.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
letter,
gonna educate
is you
them.
need to register and you have the responsibility to pay the state this much and us this much, and this is how you do it. And,
They
I've
probably
got-
know all this stuff, and they're like, well, nobody's knocked on my door yet, so
Exactly.
I'm good.
I would say that's most of it.
Yeah,
Well,
Now,
and the-
part of what we're
But now
seeing.
we're knocking.
Part of what we're seeing
Metaphorically.
on the Rentalscape information is the numbers of properties. Well, when I did a little bit more digging in there, we have 5 or 6 property owners that own a whole bunch of properties.
Yeah. Oh,
And
usually,
so we
yeah.
have to make sure that some of those, one of the questions I just asked Pam today, one of them I have a hard time matching up with the list from finance and the list from Rentalscape was the Hayden Edwards Inn. And she went back, she had to go back to 2019 to find out that they registered as we are only doing long-term rentals. If you do more than 29 nights, you can say it's more like a lease to an apartment, and you do not have to fall under the short-term rental. Well, the Hayden Edwards Inn has changed hands twice since then, and they're on Rentalscape, and I cannot see where they are paying. So that one is rented a lot.
Well,
And
they are
that's-
paying their state taxes because the service that they're listing through is collecting those state
The state
taxes.
ones, but they're
And
not
they
collecting the local.
remit the state taxes. They are responsible for collecting the local taxes, and they're not doing it probably. Or if they are, they're
And
keeping
they
it.
have listings through their own website, through VRBO and Airbnb. They're on all of them, and whoever's doing whatever is not. That's just one I just happened to pick out because of trying to match my.
Yeah. I guess my question is too, is there's some rentals, I would have to like cross-check. I don't know who's gonna do all that, but there's a rental, I know for sure, I mean, she advertises through Instagram, and and they have a website. I don't even know if they're on VRBO or Airbnb. But that's the thing, like, I don't know. Does
Did you-
Rentalscape pick that up?
Do you know the address?
if you know the address.
We
get
can
it.
look it up,
Okay.
yeah, cause, that's the thing
Because they have
is-
like 5 or 6
Well,
places.
Rentalscape does pick up some of those.
They do,
Okay.
yeah, they have other filters, Airbnb and VRBO are just the biggest ones, but
Oh, so they
pick
have
up,
other
they
filters.
pick filters from Flipkey,
Okay.
all sorts of booking engines.
Okay.
So, but the problem is it'll mark it as an unidentified listing, and if we're able to collect that information literally through word of mouth, like we are right now, we can go in there and put that information and
Yeah.
boom, they're captured, so.
I
I don't want to be
glanced
a
at the,
snitch, but here we go.
well, I glanced at the list. I dumped it about a month ago, and there were 14 on the unidentified. And I spent about 45 minutes looking through. Well, one of them is I looked at the pictures, and you
Yeah.
can see exactly. I know this town enough to know.
Yeah.
I knew where they were.
Exactly where they're at.
Other ones, I had some other clues, and I found property owners on the appraisal district, and I know how to do that too. So I can probably resolve a bunch of
You
these
could find it,
just
yeah.
by, I'm trying, and they told
Yeah.
us if we can give them that information, it will go on the Rentalscape database, and that would make our reports more complete. The city needs to be convinced that we have enough properties that would pay enough tax to make it worth their while to do this, and that's our job, is to do that, and that's our next step.
When you say the city,
Finance Department. Because
and that is why I asked at the last meeting that we have somebody from the finance department come to our meeting.
we wanted to find out more information before we went to them, and we will.
That's the next step.
The next step is to give them, I'm gonna give them a spreadsheet that says this to this is what we're missing out on. And, does it make that much difference? I mean, Pam is telling me some of them are $11 a month and some of them are $4 a month. They're getting checks for very small amounts. And she said, honestly, it takes a lot of time to go trace all these down. And that's why we need to attack this as everything. And I kind of think sending a letter out to everybody, even the ones that are remitting, and say, if you are one of the people that are remitting, thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And this is what we can do for you at the CVB.
Yeah.
And if you're not, here are the steps.
I think that's very positive.
My
and that
approach,
we want
yeah,
to-
I
I
want
like
my
that.
approach to
Ashley
be
wants to be very
positive. I wanna say, we wanna know about you because there are some cute listings out there that I would love to promote. And it makes all of Nacogdoches look good when I'm able to post like the old Mize Loft on Instagram and things like that. So that's my approach, is to insert in the letter that we wanna know about you, we wanna help you, and then this is how we do it, and this, I want to get down in the nitty gritty and show, look how many website views we have a month and things like that, how much engagement on social media we have. That way they see value in it and they want to contribute, hopefully, the Sally Do Goods. But, yeah, I mean,
I think my question is, so say in 6 months that you guys have 30 paying their short-term rental tax. Well, that's great, but the other 45, I know that there's no teeth there, but is there eligibility requirements from their hosting website, like Verbo and
no, as long as they're
Airbnb?
paying- yeah.
So as long as they're paying their state tax, it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah, because these are
Yeah.
taxes implemented by our city.
And the next step may be if there is enough, if there's only 3 property owners and some of us can talk to them and say, hey, and if they're belligerent and ugly, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. But if there are a list of 40, that it may be time for Ashley to go to city council and say, these people are not remitting, we have asked, and do you want to put teeth behind it? Because they're gonna have to be the ones that do
We'll
that.
have to give them
They will
figures,
have-
of course, to show that it's
Right.
worth it.
Exactly.
That's where we're
everybody,
down
yeah.
to. Because right now, the finance department does not think it is worth it. And we
There
need to
are
prove
there are some cities that have multiple taxing agencies that they have to remit for occupancy taxes on.
This is way down the line, but Rentalscape actually does offer for an added cost, of course. But if it were ever worth our money and time, or not so much time, they offer a payment portal, and they send out the letters, they tell you how much you owe, they put the portal, like they do all that for you. Now it's, I think, $5,000 to $10,000.
It's pretty pricey.
Yeah, so we would have to be taking in a significant amount. The way things are trending right now, it could be in a few years, because they showed us a graph and our short-term rentals are going up, 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 up. So maybe in a few years, but
Interesting.
at this time we don't have the money to do that. We don't have the staff. So we're just doing what we can, which is, like I said, the bite-sized pieces and spoon feeding it.
So the next step will be the letters, and
Yes.
are we in, I mean, there's been no discussion over whether we need to look at it or not.
Well, this was not really
It's a
put-
template, I wouldn't worry about it.
This was not really put on the agenda, so that's why we didn't
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, we
intend-
can't take any action on it right now, but I just wanted to
Right.
give y'all an update of what we are doing right now. I mean,
And the
literally-
next step is to get the letter approved by the city and let us move forward with
I
this.
like the fact that there's some action being done. Thank
And
you
we
so
will-
much. I know y'all have been working on it, it's obvious. Okay,
And
thank
I'm
you.
sorry that it's taken so long, but we're kind of having to start at ground zero. And I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but the city has multiple holes. There's no city attorney, no city manager, no city planner. And there's a few others, no CVB director. So things are really hard to move forward right now. It seems like we're all kind of spinning wheels. But we are doing everything that we usually do at the
Yeah.
CVB. We are,
Saying you guys are doing what you need to do on your end. So, and you're doing extra work too. So, yeah,
I mean,
especially with these rentals.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, we're doing things the old fashioned way. I see them come up and I take note of them. Like it's very much like pen and paper or copy and paste, but we don't have all the fancy software that some of these bigger cities have. And it's my hope that one day we can get to that point. But until we prove that it's enough money worth to make that investment, then we're kind of stuck with our little tiny staff of 3.5 right now. So, not that you're half a person, Cheryl, but but yeah. So let's see what else is going on. We are getting ready for Dia de los Muertos coming up, the Old Town Rig Down, and we're helping out with the Texas Downtown Conference on Main Street, or in downtown, coming up October 24th to the 27th. So we've got a lot of things on that front. We're currently looking into revamping our newsletter. We currently use Constant Contact, and I'm looking at something called Emma. So I'm really excited to do that to drive more people into town. I've seen our newsletters actually be pretty responsive, so I want to beef that up. If you ever want to see a really good one, look at Franklin, Tennessee. They're kind of like our poster child. We want to be like Franklin. So,
Wonderful.
I see them on Pinterest.
yeah, it's great. And then Georgetown is another good one. And I recently made a really good connection with a person from Visit Georgetown at Travel and Tourism College, and we've been talking. And so they're kind of my inspiration as well. So that's just to say that these classes and colleges that I'm going to are extremely beneficial, and I feel like I learned so much from them. We have TACVB in August, and that's, I believe it's the end of August. I've got so many things on my calendar, but we've submitted 3 campaigns to their idea fair, and hopefully we'll bring home some more awards for y'all this month, or next month, sorry. But do y'all have any more questions for me? Okay.
Thank you for that, Ashley.
Of course.
Marketing, is that?
That's awesome.
Doing
Well,
great, doing great.
Yeah, I mean, marketing, I'm kind of doing 2 jobs right now. So, like the newsletters, marketing, our website hits are still trending positively, even though it is summertime. You said before the meeting that there's a summertime slump. It eventually gets too hot and people stop doing their day trips as much. But the Fredonia Hotel is doing really well. Occupancy is doing great. I haven't gotten June's report yet, but as soon as I get it, I'll send it out to y'all. So, yeah, everything's looking good.
Sounds like September 15th, 17th weekend's gonna be busy, just like April 1st
The Old
again.
Town Rig Down, just if
And
y'all
it's-
aren't aware, they closed down Main
Birthday.
Street for, I believe, 3 days.
3
2
days.
days for sure. Part of, Shelby, do you know, is it 3 days?
Yes, 3 full days.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean,
But hopefully it'll bring in a lot of
Staying in
people.
cheaper.
Last year it did. One cool thing,
'cause it's
so
Centennial too, so that's,
we are a member of the Texas Forest Trail, and they have a really great software called Datify, where they do cell phone pings to see who's in the area, and we're really excited about it because it's free to us, and that's expensive software. So right now I have him running a report for Blueberry Festival, because next month the Chamber of Commerce will be presenting to City Council, and we want to give them the tourism. They look at the city numbers, we want to give them the outside of the city numbers. So I'm looking forward to getting that information, and then I want to run it after every single event or big event that we have, not birthday parties. So
unless it's a birthday party for,
yeah, Yeah, what
Yeah.
if someone was like, all of these people came from,
I mean, Stephen F. Austin's birthday party is a big one, just
True.
saying. That weekend's gonna be nuts.
true.
Yeah.
All right, well, that concludes my report.
Next, sales.
Okay, I have a few things. My Knack at Night movie went really well, about 30 minutes in. And then a massive gust of wind popped through and knocked our screen down, but we moved inside. Quite a few people still stayed after we moved into the basement. So that went really well. Knack Snack Friday last month was a little bit slower because it was really hot, but mostly everybody still enjoyed themselves and had a good time. We have another one next Friday. So if you want food truck food, come. The Alcohol Alliance
Mm-hmm.
Conference. It's 2 weeks away. They came in probably 2 months ago, and we got them brochures and dining guides for them to give to the people. I don't know what you call them. So we did that. And I think that concludes my report.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Shelby. Mike, I guess, Visitor Services?
Don't have a lot of things to report. Business as usual at the Visitor Center, the Charles Bright Visitor Center. She mentioned Blueberry Festival Saturday. We don't even try to count the people there because you can't keep up with it. But other than that, we had 1,000 people in June to come through our door. It's pretty cool. It's a little slow right now. I think the heat and it's in between everything right now. So we had Shelby and Ashley did a wonderful volunteer luncheon. Thank you for us, and I think that was very well attended. We're glad that they did a really good job on that, and our volunteers appreciated that. And so that's about it.
Are you getting enough volunteers?
Never. But
Yeah.
I knew
everything's
that would
good.
be the answer. I wanted to.
Everything's good. Everything's good.
Can I actually add on to that really quick?
You may.
So tomorrow, so Shelby is clearly out of town. Mike will be out of town tomorrow. I will be here, but I have supervisor training from 11 to 2:30 a.m. We do have an intern, not a.m., sorry, a.m., my gosh. We do have an intern who's helping out, but if anyone is available and would like to just come and hang out with her, we'd appreciate that. And then on Friday, Shelby will be alone as I'm going out of town and Mike will still be out of town. So again, if we're covered, but if you have any free time and you're wanting to, give your board time, then that would be appreciated, and just let me know if you're able to.
That is a requirement for the board, and the few times that I have worked, it has been very beneficial. I've learned so much
Oh, it's
from.
a lot of fun.
Yes, it is. It's really great. So
What
I
times
would
are those tomorrow? and
So
Friday?
tomorrow, I would say the time that we need it the most is 11 to 2:30 while I'm at training, and then anytime Friday. And like I said, Shelby's got it handled. I believe our intern will be here on Friday as well. But we do get a lot of phone calls, and sometimes we'll have visitors waiting at the counter while we're taking phone calls, and so we'd just love to be able to attend to them quickly.
And he would never say it, but when no one's available, Mike always picks up
Always.
the slack.
I don't
I know
mind.
you're not gonna say it, but he does.
I don't mind. If I'm in town and I don't have a plan, I'd rather do that than sit at home. You know what I mean?
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anything else?
I think that's everything.
Okay.
So when is our next meeting? I believe it's August. Sorry, I should mention, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but we are going to have 4 more board members. City Council appointed 4 new members last night. Their names, we've got Philip Blackburn, Matt McKeon, Crystal Gibson, and one other that I keep forgetting for some reason. I honestly really am not familiar with any of them except for Philip Blackburn. They will be at next month's meeting, but Larry requested, and we probably should do this anyways for the new board members, reassess the time that we're meeting right now and see if it works for the majority of everyone. So I'll be sending out a poll probably tomorrow to try to get that information from y'all. And we are probably not going to be meeting in the council chambers anymore either, because because we'll have 11 members and everyone needs to be in sight of the camera for these recorded meetings. So we'll either be moving to the CVB downstairs basement or possibly the rec center. We just have to weigh our options and see what's available. But I'm going to get that information out to y'all as soon as it's decided.
And they are coming on board, you said, next month?
Yes, next month. Yep.
On my calendar, it says we're meeting August the 16th.
So I guess let's say tentatively August 16th, depending on the poll results.
Yeah, because with school starting.
Yeah.
I don't know. Schedules are wild. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So we'll be waiting on
back
that.
to school.
from you.
Yeah, yeah. I'll send out that information as soon as possible.
So anything else?
I'm good.
I don't have to get a vote on adjournment.
No,
Okay.
no.